Smartphones these days are getting better day by day, so is their cameras. So a question comes to everybody's mind: how does $1,000 smartphone and $1,000 dedicated DSLR camera compare together? In this video, we're going to be finding it out. What is up folks, it's me Shahil. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, a sub to the channel would be amazing. And also just let me know your comments in the comment section down below. So let's get into the video. Before we begin, it's not ideal to compare a smartphone camera and a DSLR camera because the DSLR is actually designed to be better when it comes to taking photos and videos, opposed to a smartphone camera which is meant to be taken everywhere with you and also do some other tasks other than smartphone cameras, although companies focus on cameras a lot more these days. So make sure you take it that way. Don't take this too serious because smartphone camera at the end of the day is actually very good. You'll know that by the end of this video. So number one, modularity. Modularity is a very important factor when it comes to most people, and DSLR cameras actually offer very high amount of modularity. Any DSLR camera can actually swap lenses and actually perform many other tasks which a smartphone camera currently cannot. Opposed to a smartphone camera where the lens is fixed and the only solution that you can make is actually to buy a clip-on lens, which actually has its own limitations and it cannot improve the image quality, it can maintain the image quality. Number two, dynamic range. Dynamic range is very high when it comes to DSLR cameras. DSLR camera sensors are much bigger when it comes to capturing photos and videos, so are their form factors. So DSLR cameras can actually stack up a very big sensor and can actually do many more things which a smartphone currently lacks. And one of the most important things among them is the dynamic range. Actually, a DSLR camera has much more dynamic range than a smartphone, but these days it's coming a lot closer and closer. So in the end of this video, I'll be showing you two pictures in which you'll have to guess which is which, and then I'll reveal which is which. So you'll know that dynamic range is not all that different these days, but it's pretty close. One fix if you want to actually have high dynamic range on your smartphone camera is to switch to HDR mode. HDR stands for high dynamic range, which is actually a mode which is available in your smartphone which you can turn on if you're capturing photos and videos. Number three, bokeh or bokeh. Actually, most people think that a 20 megapixel DSLR camera sensor and a 20 megapixel smartphone camera sensor are the same. No, they're actually a whole different thing. Actually, a DSLR camera sensor is very big when compared to a smartphone camera. So 20 megapixel means 20 million pixel. DSLR cameras can spread out each pixel and occupy their own space. And when it comes to smartphone camera, each pixel will be very small compared to the DSLR cameras, resulting in not that great image quality when compared to a much higher grade sensor. Although software fixes come to our help in smartphone cameras, it uses artificial intelligence and machine learning and things like that to improve the quality of your photos drastically. And oh, there's this one thing called portrait mode which most of you might be familiar with. Portrait mode is not natural. It detects the edges of your face and your body and actually blurs out the rest of the background. Actually, in a DSLR camera, this is a natural effect which your lens can do, and manufacturers do not try to increase or decrease this effect because it is a natural one. Number four, more control over the settings of the camera. This is actually a big one, if I had to tell you. So you can see the camera screen now, it has a lot of controls. You can control the aperture, you can control the ISO, you can control the shutter speed, white balance, picture profiles, etc, etc. It's a long list of names. Actually, when it comes to a smartphone camera, it's not all that versatile, although it can do many things. So in a DSLR camera, you have a lot of control. Opposed to a smartphone camera in which you can control a lot of things, but it's limited when it comes to aperture and things like ISO and shutter speed. It is actually more limited, and DSLR cameras have much more control over them when it comes to controlling. Number five, video features. This is also another big one, but here it's a win for the smartphone cameras. Smartphone cameras has much better resolution options and frame rate options when it comes to choosing them. And actually, smartphone released in 2016 can do 4K video, except for a DSLR camera which is released in 2016 cannot do 4K. which is actually not a bad thing because the HD mode in DSLR camera is gonna be able to stack up with the 4K in the smartphone camera. Things like autofocus is actually not that great on DSLR cameras. Although they have things like dual pixel autofocus when it comes to Canon and Sony's hybrid autofocus, I guess. But smartphone cameras can already do much better than most of the DSLR cameras which is available in the industry right now. Number 6 is usage and handling. The DSLR camera should be taken care very carefully. You can't, just throw away your DSLR cameras like you do catching with your smartphone camera. This is a whole different story, but you need to be very careful when it comes to handling your DSLR camera. The sensor is actually open in mirrorless cameras, so can dust and debris get onto it and attack it and make your image look all bad. But you should be very careful when it comes to using a DSLR camera, opposed to a smartphone camera which you can use like you use daily. But another factor is the weight. The weight is actually very different when it comes to comparing the two. To prove this to you, I actually put it up on a kitchen scale and I actually found out very different results. It did not shock me because I already know that it's going to be much different. The DSLR camera is well over 1 kilogram, but the smartphone was like, 200 grams, I guess. It was very lightweight. Number 7, battery life. Battery life is bad when it comes to smartphones because, when your camera is being used a lot, your battery drains up pretty fast. But then still, if you want to record for long times, it's advisable that you carry a power bank with you. But these smartphones have these smart charging options which can actually let you hook up the charger and then charge it very fast and then take it one more time for a spin. Opposed to a DSLR camera, if you want to charge your camera battery, it's going to take a long time, let's say 3 hours to charge a DSLR camera. This is a true story. But if you want more battery life on a DSLR camera, the only option is to invest in 2 or 3 more batteries and charge them, which is a long process, by the way. It's a headache. And number 8, portability. Portability is the one area which a smartphone takes away. And this is very reasonable because the smartphone can actually be thrown into your pocket, opposed to a DSLR camera which should be handled very carefully, and most people actually carry around bags with the DSLR camera even if they are not using it, because it should be used with the utmost care. Now I'm going to show 2 images to you and you should guess which one is which. Yeah, and now you can see the results on the screen. You might not be impressed because both of the images look almost the same, but then there's this slight advantage when it comes to DSLR cameras like dynamic range and bokeh. But that's pretty much it for this video. As you can see, there's not much difference when it comes to a DSLR camera and a $1,000 smartphone camera. I hope I did prove this to you, but yeah, just mention your comments and all of that in the comment section down below. Also like this video and share this with your family and friends. I hope you enjoyed it. Until we meet the next time, goodbye. I know.